Coming up, we'll be on location discussing energy healing for the home and business and how it can cleanse your home and business and bring positive energy, happiness, and success to your home and business with one of this region's top energy healing experts, Michelle Williams. Welcome back, Michelle.
Thank you.
Always nice having you on our program. You're a wealth of knowledge and information with all your expertise and the various tools that you have in your toolbox to help so many folks everywhere, for that matter. And with that being said, I wanted to ask you again, if you can, Michelle, by beginning today's interview by telling us what energy healing is for those out there watching that may not know.
Yes, so energy healing is an ancient, holistic, and alternative health practice. It is based on the concept that everything has energy surrounding it. Our bodies have energy around it. We have energy running through us. Homes, environments, spaces, objects, plants, everything has energy around it. Everything has an energy field. So energy within the home and business and your body as well, energy can get stuck, it can stagnate, which causes negative energy to stay in a location, in an environment. And that negative energy affects the people in that environment. It affects how the everything functions in the environment. It affects the personalities of the people in the environment. So, for example, negative energy will get stuck in a room if there was an argument or some sort of heavy conversation that just occurred in that room or in that environment. That energy stays in that room. So the next person that comes into that room, that energy also goes into their energetic field and also affects them. Some people notice it more than others, but it definitely has an effect on the environment. So from a business perspective, all of the employees that are in the area of that business, if customers come into that business, it can affect them. And the energy from anyone in that environment stays in that environment as well. So if you have negative employees in your business and customers come in, those customers can feel the energy of those negative employees because it gets stuck in the environment, and it could deter them from wanting to purchase something from your business or do business with you in the future. So it's really important to clear that negative energy out of the environment and harmonize the environment. And it will boost the energy of the employees to more of a positive light, along with the customers, stakeholders, anybody else that's involved with that business or comes into that environment.
Those are great examples you just gave, because we can all relate to that, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's at home or when you're at a store or you're conversing or going to a business. How many times in our lives we walked in or started speaking to someone, or even when we just initially walk in, and it's just like a negative vibe.
Yes.
And that's the energy you're talking about, right?
Yes.
And that in turn, whether it's conscious or subconscious, affects us as the potential customer, or visiting someone in their home as a friend or a relative, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely say that I've walked into people's homes and just instantly wanted to leave.
Exactly.
And that's why it's the energy gets stuck in those homes. You have to clear it out. Yes.
And speaking of clearing it out, I was going to ask you that as the follow-up. How do you clear out that negative energy, that bad energy from a home and a business? How is it performed?
Sure. So depending on what the client's needs are, depends on the steps that I would take. For a home, typically the first thing that I do is look at the types of energies in the home. I gauge the energy level. So typically all homes or businesses, pretty much all buildings or properties are negative energy. It's just kind of how it is. It's nothing, too bad. It's just life. So I gauge the energy level of the area, and then I work to identify the types of negative energy in the home. So it could be geopathic stress, which is underground water or fault lines running under the home. That could actually enhance health issues depending on where the geopathic stress is. For example, if you have a geopathic stress line running across your bed and you're spending 8 hours at least a night sleeping in your bed, and that energy is hitting your body and your aura field, it could enhance health issues. There's also different types of interference lines that could be in the home that could cause all kinds of different types of situations. It could cause frustration with people in the home. It could cause anger. It could also cause issues with relationships, with love, and simple things such as clutter. Some people, I think everybody in their home has different areas that are more cluttered than normal, and that's typically interference in the home that's causing the person to kind of want to cover that up unconsciously. So different interference zones. There are several other types of energies that could be coming in the home. So after I identify the energy points that are coming into the home, I use copper. It's a copper rod that we place around the perimeter of the home where those energy points are to block and revert that energy from coming into the home. So this will revert geopathic stress. It will revert the interference zones I was talking about, along with some negative Hartman and Curry lines. So different types of energy. These are just different types of energies that could come into the home and affect the environment. So that is one thing that I look at. Again, it depends on the client and what their needs are. Another thing that I look at are stuck spirits that could potentially be in the home, or ghosts as people call them. So if that energy is in the home or business, that could also cause a negative effect in kind of that deterrent type of energy that you were talking about earlier. And then there's also different ways to harmonize the home and get it to a balanced state that the client is looking for. So for example, if you were running a business out of your home and that home or the property that home is on is not harmonized for your business, there's potential negative energies towards your business, then we need to figure out what those energies are and clear them out of the home and property so that home is harmonized for your business, so it could give you success in your business. So that's just one example. And you could do that in your home business. You can do that in a business that's in a commercial environment. You could do that in a storefront, anything like that, to harmonize that area to make sure that it is a good environment for the clients and for the stakeholders and for the employees and everyone working in that business. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, and it all depends on kind of what the client's looking for and the issues that they're having.
Yes, indeed. And then you customize the appropriate treatment for them or option for them that can help them achieve the results they're looking for, whether it's for their home or their business.
Yes.
Now, Michelle, I know you touched on this a bit earlier, but I wanted to ask you if you could please elaborate a little bit more on the types of problems that it can address in both the home and the business through the energy healing.
Sure. So from a home perspective, it can, like I had mentioned, harmonize the home in a way where there is potentially less arguing, more collaboration and love in a family. It can also help with, which is kind of interesting, plants growing. Some people like it because it'll help trees in their gardens grow better, because if you've geopathic stress running underneath a garden, it actually suppresses the energy of the plant. So it could help with things like that. It could also, like I had mentioned, bring more success to the home. So if there's an energy line, which I've seen a lot actually, of success that's running out the door, that means success is running out the door. So trying to block that to keep success in the home and keep love in the home is what we're after there. Yeah. From a business perspective, an example would be, say the business is starting to have some legal issues or financial issues. Out of nowhere, these things just kind of started. The cause, could be anything for the business, but to harmonize that business, we need to shift the energy to clear out the energetic reason and cause of the financial issues or the legal issues of that particular business or situation. So, the causes could just be people bringing negative energy into the environment, people having a negative perception of the business. Stakeholders, for example, if the stakeholders of that business think that business is going to fail, then the business is going to struggle because that energy is going towards that business and causes it to kind of go on a downward spiral. The same thing if the customers, if they don't have faith in the product, they're not going to buy the product, and the business is going to have financial and potentially legal issues. So harmonizing that, releasing that energy, shifting the mindset of the stakeholders, of the employees, of the customers, is really important to be able to bring balance back to that business. And it is a little difficult to explain, but the process, the spiritual response therapy process that I use, harmonizes the entire consciousness of the business, which includes all of those things to get it up and running and successful.
And in a nutshell, what you put into the universe, right?
Yes.
If it's positive, you have a good chance of a positive energy around you and positive success of what you're looking for and deem as success,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And if it's negative, and you're putting negative thoughts and negative things out there, a lot of times that's what ends up happening.
Exactly. Like attracts like. If the customers are negative, then your business is going to be negative. If the owner is negative, your business is going to be negative.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's shifting all of that.
So you're really also a transformational coach or expert,
Yes.
as well as an energy healer when you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's all kind of wrapped into.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you, Michelle, what are some of the most common signs that we should look for to know that our home or business needs healing?
Yes, so common signs for the home is arguing, children not getting along, adults not getting along, just things not going well. Our lives should be very in a good flow, very easy and a good flow. If somebody is struggling or just is basically unhappy, there is something in the environment, along with probably some other, emotional or physical, mental issues that we can also help with energy healing of the body. But the environment has a huge impact on the people that live in that environment or that are in that environment for a long period of time. So just basic uneasiness and unhappiness and frustration, things like that, is definitely something that to look out for. Also, if a home is old, I guess. So if it's, if new owners move into that home and the home's, 20, 30 years old, all that energy from the past people that lived in that home is still in that home.
That's true.
So it's a really good idea to clear the home before you move into it, just so you can start off nice and harmonized. This actually is pretty good for realtors too, because clearing the home and having the energy in a positive light will actually help the home sell faster, because people will be more attracted to the home and feel good when they walk into it.
As opposed to feeling the negative
Exactly.
energy we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
When you walk into a business or a home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are some things that you can look for. Again, in a business, I think I mentioned earlier, if you kind of randomly start having issues with employees not getting along, not being able to collaborate, not having good customer service, financial issues, legal issues, things like that, it's definitely a good idea to harmonize that business and clear out all of the locations of that business as well.
Yes, indeed. Certainly good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Michelle, I'm sure this depends on each of your clients, whether it's a home or a business, but typically speaking, how long do the sessions last and how many may be needed for that particular client?
Sure, yes, it absolutely depends. A lot of the home and business sessions that I do are done actually without the client. I can do them kind of on my own, because I need to look at the floor plan of the environment and do different things that the client doesn't really need to be bored with. So a lot of that stuff I can do kind of behind the scenes. Typically, when we are harmonizing a business and the client wants to be involved in that, it is about an hour, hour and a half. But it also depends on the situation that they want to resolve, as well as the different issues that are going on within the environment. If, for example, if there's a lot of geopathic stress and a lot of energy coming into the home, it's going to take longer because we have to kind of walk through that and look at each thing. Also, from the numbers of sessions perspective, it also varies. When we do the copper placement and the curing of the geopathic stress coming into the home or the business, that is done once. We don't have to do that again unless something changes in the environment. So for example, if there's an earthquake, there could be the fault lines could have shifted under the environment, or there could be new water running under, somewhere. Then we would have to place additional rods and take a look at that. I also do checks for the space. So periodically I will check the space to make sure everything is still lined up and still in harmony, and just make sure the energy level is still at a positive level. There are also times when clients have come to me and said that everything was going great, the environment was wonderful, but then yesterday, something started to happen. My daughter started to get frustrated very easily, or something like that. And then at that point, I would check again to make sure everything was good. In regards to harmonizing the home and business using SRT, so that's the practice without the copper rods, that can also vary because clients typically want to resolve multiple things. Again, if they're having some sort of financial issues, and we look at that 1 month, and then the next month they may want to look at harmonizing the relationship with their employees, and then the next month they could want to look at something else. So it all depends on what their needs are. I do suggest, especially for larger businesses or corporations that have a huge client base and a lot of employees and a lot of stakeholders, that the harmonizing and balancing of the energy of the business is done several times a year, just to make sure things are running smoothly. Yeah. So if you do it once, things are going good, but that negative energy will still build back up. So you have to make sure that you keep it down to a positive level.
Yes, indeed. And again, I'm sure this depends on each client, whether it's a home or a business, but typically, again speaking, Michelle, what kind of results do your clients see?
Yes, so most clients see change within their home pretty immediately. When I did my home, it was interesting. I just started looking around one day and it just looked brighter. It was almost like a fog was lifted out of the home. It was really interesting. So a lot of clients notice that. They notice that they're just more uplifted. They're happier. So that is a pretty instant thing that most people see. But there are times where people that aren't as sensitive to energy, it takes a little bit longer for them to realize that the environment has changed. And it's really the same for a business. It's kind of difficult to gauge, especially with larger businesses that have a lot of people. The changes are subtle, but you typically notice them as time passes on. So.
Well, on that note, we'd like to thank you, Michelle, for joining us again, educating us, and being a guest on our program. Yes. It was another great pleasure having you on.
Yes, it was wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.